Questions are limited to the issue of the shareholder agreements. I'll be quick. The questions were asked by my learned senior and colleague and friend, Professor Ojenda, Catherine Muma, and Senator Omtata. I'll begin with the questions by my learned senior, Mr. Ojenda, and I'll begin with the second question he asked. He asked, is the relationship between the president and the deputy president irretrievably broken? That's not a legal question. But in my experience as a Kenyan, there is no such thing as an irretrievably broken political relationship. Members of Jubilee, a party I served as an advocate for, woke up in March 2018 to find their leader shaking hands with his opponent at Harambee House, and they subsequently found a way to work. A few months ago, the president and the honorable former prime minister have found a way to work. There's no such thing as an irretrievable political relationship. Secondly, leadership constitutionally is not so much about how you feel. It is about your duty and your responsibility constitutionally. Your feelings must take a backseat to your duty to the people of Kenya. Secondly, I was asked about the counties. Now, when you look at these shareholder agreements, and again, if members will go with me to page 418, where you find the shareholder agreement between ANC, Ford Kenya, and UDA. Sorry? Oh, volume, sorry. I don't know how to increase the volume.
Council, sorry, Council members, I'm getting a bit lost when you say UNDA. UNDA, if spelling in Swahili is UNDA.
No, UDA, sorry, I come from Kenya.
United Democratic Alliance. If you use maybe the you first make clear.
I'm sorry.
That it is United Democratic Alliance.
Yes, I'm sorry. We use acronyms, I'm sorry. It's the United Democratic Alliance Party. The full name of Amani is Amani National Congress Party, and the full name for Ford Kenya is Ford Kenya Party. So their agreement at page 429, you will note, Professor Ojenda, it does not talk about counties. The agreements seem to have been structured in regions. It talked about region. Now, I don't know what they meant by those regions, but what I can tell you is that at paragraph 20...
Also, I will allow Mr. Abdi to have a seat somewhere as you conclude.
Yes, as I said, Honorable Senator for Kisumu, at page 429, which would be paragraph 20, subparagraph O, that's the first proviso there was. Further terms, parameters, and details of the sharing of positions of responsibility in the national government pursuant to this article shall be contained in a separate schedule to this agreement, which schedule shall be negotiated and executed before the date of the general election scheduled on 9th August 2022. So this was not a final agreement. My understanding is that there were further schedules. I don't know what those schedules said. They are not available at the Register of Political Parties. They may very well have included all the counties you asked for. Maybe Kisumu was in the subsequent schedule, I don't know. Secondly, the drafters of this, as I've said, were careful to stay within the confines of the Constitution, because at paragraph 22, subparagraph G, this is what they said. Notwithstanding the content of this article, the founding member parties hereby commit to make any adjustments that may be necessary to accommodate the development priorities of other parts of the country, to ensure equitable distribution of Kenya's national resources and wealth for the benefit of every citizen and every part of Kenya. So there was a proviso to ensure that the document was constitutional. And perhaps while I'm on that issue as well, I might as well answer my good friend on Senator Omtata's question. I am not yet mercifully a judge. I cannot say whether the Kenya Kwanza coalition is unconstitutional. Somebody will have to move the court for that determination to be made. But what I did say was that in 2005, I had the privilege in participating in a case involving the MOU for NAC. And that one was struck down because the law had no underpinning making room for it. And which brings me to the question raised by Senator Catherine Muma. which is the political parties section. There's actually not one, there are several. If you would go to Schedule 3, sub paragraph C, B, D, and E. Let me read them out for you. So B deals with the policies and objectives of the coalition. That's B. D deals with organizational structure and management of the coalition, including county structures and systems and county government bodies, which you'll also find in these agreements. And then C, the overall structure of the coalition. And then E, the criteria or formula for sharing of positions in the coalition. That's what it says. Positions in the coalition structure, roles and responsibilities within the coalition. So that's what it says. So most political coalitions have interpreted that to mean, and it's been healthy thus far. I think it's helped, in my view, this country become a bit more stable and united. And I think I've answered all those questions that had to do with the question of the shareholder agreements. Unless members had any clarification, I rest.
Thank you, Council, for DP. Council Ndegwa, you have something to pick, or do we conclude it at that?
Specific questions and clarifications. Noting at the mood of the House, perhaps I can indulge the House. I respond the same after lunchtime.
No. After lunch, we are going straight to your main witness.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So what we can do, Council Ndegwa, allow me to invoke Standing Order 34.2A for the convenience of the House to add 5 minutes. So the House will rise at 1:05 instead of 1.
I am well guided by your wisdom.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, sir, there were 2 questions for the National Assembly side to respond.
Okay,
2 questions.
Then let's do this. Let's do this. Instead of the House rising at 1:05, we will rise at 1:15. So, Council Ndegwa, you'll take your 5 minutes, and then the rest shall be given to the Council for the National Assembly.
I am well guided, Mr.
Speaker, sir, the witness is asking if he can leave the
Absolutely. He's discharged.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was asked to clarify by Senator Joyce Carrill why I am dealing with the report from the Senate and what am I driving at. The report to the Senate is intended to indicate that none of the participants in that tendering process ever benefited from that particular process. All the 17 companies, none of them benefited, and that as a result or as a consequence of the failure to proceed to the next levels, the country did not lose even a single cent. A question was put to me why I am looking at the submissions by various parties and not going to the observations and the recommendations by the Senate. And just like a skillful legal surgeon, I have been able to point out various findings, submissions. For example, the submissions finding themselves at page 222, paragraph 107 and 106, 107 and 109 find themselves at the recommendation, at the observation of the Senate at page 271. So there is serious correlation between my findings as submitted by various parties who appeared before the Senate and the observations made by the Senate. So I dealt largely on what the Senate found as opposed to what the Senate had during the proceedings. Number two, Mr. Speaker, sir, clarification was sought as to why the bid failed, and although that will be dealt with at length, permit me to draw the attention of the Assembly to page 108 of the volume 3 of the Deputy President's Body of Documents. You'll find a letter from KEMSA dated the 5th May 2023, being a notification to Shobika Impex Private Limited. And it reads, the reference is made to the above tender and advised that the tender was unsuccessful due to the following reasons. 1, tender security was not paginated. Number 2, please plan to collect your bid security from the procurement office immediately. It may be of interest to note the date when this letter is being generated is the 5th of May. It also be of interest to note when the alleged bullying and intimidation occurred. This letter precedes the alleged bullying, alleged intimidation. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, this letter is voluntarily being issued and being generated by KEMSA themselves at their own intuition, as opposed to being triggered by any external officer, in this case, the person of the Deputy President. In their own volition, KEMSA triggers and invites Shobika to come and collect their bids, and on witness, Mr. Speaker, sir, the witness confirmed that this is always the end of a failed bid. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to draw the attention of the Assembly to the matter in issue. That is at page 36 of the volume 1 of the impeachment motion. The matter in issue that is subject for interrogation, Mr. Speaker,
45 seconds.
As I pen off, is not whether the tenders were responsive, whether the country lost any money, whether investigations were done, whether there was conflict of interest, whether there were gifts that accrued therefrom. The question in issue is, did the person of the Deputy President bully the officer? Was there evidence? So let us not lose ground or focus on the ground on the matter in issue, so that we focus and we put the train on rail. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Counsel for the National Assembly, take us to the rise of the House.
Mr. Speaker, sir, how many minutes? 10?
You have 9 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I am here to respond on behalf of the National Assembly on only 2 questions. Mr. Speaker, sir, listening to the Deputy President's side, I believe they have misunderstood the nature and context of ground number 11. And there was a question by the Senator whether we have substantiated ground number 11 on bullying of KEMSA officials. Secondly, there was a question also on whether there was loss of public funds in this tendering process. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to answer the first question by mentioning that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is a high-ranking state official. The Republic of Kenya, the polity of the